When he turned 50 10 years ago, Otunba engineer Gbenga was in office as the executive governor of Ogun State. Understandably, the machinery and apparatus of government were fully deployed to accord the event the pomp and fanfare such an epoch in the life of the first citizen of Ogun State deserved. Without any doubt at all, the giant strides of Otunba Gbenga that resulted in the groundbreaking developments in all facets of the life of Ogun State people in his 2 terms of 8 years in office laid a very solid foundation which has properly positioned Ogun State as a frontline state amongst the committee of states in Nigeria today. The well-attended celebration of the Silver Jubilee anniversary of his company Crystal Laurel Limited, which took place in 2015, is a veritable pointer for Otunba Gbenga to relish the goodwill he has amassed over the years, having acquitted himself creditably by delivering good governance and dividends of democracy to justify the huge confidence reposed in him by the good people of Ogun State. Today, Otunba engineer Gbenga has acquired very penetrating connections in vital places across and beyond the shores of Nigeria, simply on account of his sterling record of stewardship while in office. A close trajectory of the odyssey of Otunba Gbenga reveals that he was an exceptionally brilliant and precocious child, largely influenced by his father, a missionary who took him under his protective wings, which had disciplined moral upbringing as its very core.
I remember vividly that my parents had always said that I was special. I was particularly close to my father, much closer to my father than my mom. I don't know how it happened, such that even when he's going out as a very young, 6-year-old, I would rather go with him than interact with any other person. And I guess there are quite a few things that he saw that I was more or less of some special, but I didn't know anything of that. I can't see what was so special. But I guess looking back, some of those things that you take for granted that you think is ordinary, is normal, appears to be extraordinary in terms of virtually everything. As a clergyman, he got transferred from location to location. You'll be shocked that at the last count, I attended probably about 5 primary schools. From St. Joseph's in Okale, Ibadan. I went to ICC Practice School, also in Ibadan. I went to St. Joseph's Primary School, Okeshego in Ondo, when he was transferred to Ondo as the Bishop of Ondo Diocese. I even went to Mushi Public School when he was transferred to Lagos. But when it was time for us to go to the secondary school, he felt that the instability was too much, and he insisted that we all must go to boarding schools. And that is how I ended up at the Baptist Borside School in Abeokuta.
After he finished his elementary school education, which went through a staggered routine due to the nature of his father's calling as a missionary, at the end of which he attended about 5 primary schools. Otunba Gbenga proceeded to the famous Baptist Boys High School, Abeokuta. Otunba Gbenga exhibited exceptional brilliance in both social sciences and the sciences. But why did he opt to study mechanical engineering as against law, medicine, and other disciplines?
Secondary school was quite eventful. I was very active in virtually everything, representing the school, literary debating society, quiz competitions, and all of the current affairs. And so generally I was a good social science student. But I was also very good in the sciences. So when I got to class 3, class 4, I also became like the best student in mathematics, in physics. I offered to do additional mathematics and all of that. So there was really therefore a problem of whether I was going to go and read law, which was what was common in those days, or medicine or engineering. Medicine I ruled out because I don't like the sight of blood. So I had to rule medicine out, even though I like biology a lot. But when we now went for A-levels, that was at Ibadan Polytechnic, the subject combination decided it, because I then went for mathematics, physics, and engineering drawing. So that automatically rules out medicine, ruled out quite a number of other things. And so I was looking towards engineering and architecture. But the engineering decision, as people are already aware, was the attraction of that young and brilliant professor at the University of Lagos, Professor Ojila Ojobi, who was like, wow, who is this genius of a man who appears to have information and knowledge about everything and anything? So I was attracted to him. And I said I was going to read whatever course this man read.
After successfully accomplishing his secondary school education with exceptional grades, Otunba Gbenga Daniel gained admission to read mechanical engineering at the University of Lagos in preference for other institutions like the University of Ibadan, University of Benin, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, and the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Otunba Gbenga Daniel graduated from the University of Lagos with special attributes. He was on the scholarship of the UAC and the federal government, so he was a toast of employers who came for him from everywhere.
Where at the University of Lagos, the first thing you were made to understand is that, see, this course is not for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. We don't have any obligation to, in fact, we don't want many engineers out there, so, and all of you should watch it. If you think you are the best student in your secondary school from BBHS in Abeokuta, next to you is probably the best student from CKC in Onitsha. And sitting in front of you is probably the best student from KC. So this is the best of the best. And we don't have any intention to pass everybody. One professor will come and harass us with statements like this. So which means that whether you like it or not,
you have to be on your toes.
you have to be on your toes. And that really helped, such that engineers were generally very sober. The course is intensive. You were put under so much pressure, such that 7 days is not even enough in a week to finish what you are cramped with. At that time, we felt it was a lot of trouble, but looking back, this was the kind of thing that prepared quite a number of us for the other challenges, because we are used to pressure. You don't get worried if you have to work 24/7, so let's do the work, and so on and so forth. And I must say that the engineering training in Lagos was quite intensive. You had to do a lot of work, practical courses, and so on and so forth. You have to do a project that is going to be feasible, and and all of that. Such that if you pass out from there, you are ready for the world. And you have no, airs about anything. You're ready to face anything because you think you come from the best.
Okay.
The multinational companies like Shell, Chevron, and the likes dangled all kinds of attractions at him. After observing the compulsory one-year National Youth Service Corps program at Lagos State Polytechnic as a lecturer, Otunba Gbenga Daniel started with a stint as an employee in a few places before joining a German firm, H.P. Schroeder, where he rose to the position of Deputy Managing Director at the age of 32 years, which is the highest position any non-German national can attain in the company. What will go down in the history of his career as the defining phase was when Otunba Gbenga Daniel took a most difficult decision to leave certainty for uncertainty. That was when Otunba Gbenga Daniel took a leap of faith to establish his own company, jettisoning the comfort and perk of office he enjoyed as the second in command at one of the first-rated, globally acclaimed multinational companies.
It wasn't really a problem for me. It was a challenge. We've got companies, then it was common that you settle in a company, you then stay there year in, year out, and then you become a pensioner and all of that. But I think at some point in time, even though people were wondering how, because I was comfortable, the company made all the provisions for me, residence in Apapa GRA at that time, which is like standard for expatriates and all of that, vehicles at your disposal, young man, 30 years, something, generator, your diesel is full, your generator is powered, and you have drivers.
At the world at your
course,
feet.
You traveled, training here and there, at least you do business class. So everything was there. But I think at some point in time I felt probably I got to the peak too early. And I said to myself, okay, 32, deputy managing director, okay, so what happens next? What else? The managing director is a German. He will always be a German because that position they will not give it to a black man anyway. The maximum a black man can reach is the deputy managing director.
Which is what you've attained.
So I was there already, and it was like, what next? So I guess that, yes, it was tough to leave the comfort and go and start, because from that, I then started a one-man company. And I usually tell people how I would type the quotation, I will go and deliver myself, I will do the repairs myself, so it's like a one-man company.
Called Crystal Laurel.
Yes.
Crystal Laurel was established from virtually zero level, and today, Crystal Laurel is a global brand in lift technology and the clear leader in Nigeria. Another step, call it a calculated risk taken by Otunba Gbenga Daniel, was when he had to leave his comfort zone, Crystal Laurel Company, for politics for 8 solid years. Between the year 2003 to 2011, Otunba Gbenga Daniel was the executive governor of Ogun State. This was a period that the massive investment in the capacity building of the staff, which exposed them to the best of training abroad, became a very good fallback position. In the absence of Otunba Gbenga Daniel, everyone played their part creditably to see that Crystal Laurel ran successfully.
Because when we were building Crystal Laurel too, we try very hard not to give the impression of that we're building a one-man company. And part of the success that we have is that we built systems, enduring systems, not just individuals. Of course, individuals are beneficiaries of the system, but we've tried very hard to build systems. All this business about ISO certification that we were able to attain, like I said, we're the only company that has been so certified by Bureau Veritas, was not about individuals, was about the system, how we do things, the processes. It has to adhere to international practice. So, which effectively means that is half of the job that is done, because the systems are in place. So anybody that comes must adhere to that system. It's there in writing, in everything we do, processes, safety regulations, is all there. And I think to a large extent that has helped the company. In my absence, quite naturally, because of our environment, they felt it. But because we've been able to put such systems in place, and we also luckily found people who also are professionals and have something to prove. It's like, oh, if OGD has done it this way, how will it be that during my time the thing goes down? So those are the driving forces. That's the individuals that now felt a compulsion. They were under pressure to perform and even outperform the outgone managing director at that time. And I'm happy it happened, because it means clearly that the company has outgrown the teething problems of startup in this country, and the company can operate with or without anybody, because the systems are in place. And of course, the next thing we're going to do is to see if we can take the company to the capital market, so that ownership can become more diversified and continuity can be ensured.
Otunba Gbenga Daniel's first appearance in public office was his stint as the executive governor of Ogun State. What kind of environment did he find in his first coming, and how did his experience in the private sector contribute to the success he attained in his 2 terms of 8 years as governor in a state like Ogun State, which is politically sophisticated and complex?
Government focusing on the masses of the people was our own. They said we wanted to have
mantra.
That's what we did. And I think that the challenge we've had today is that quite a number of people who find themselves in power do not look at it from that perspective. It is. I'll give you, a joke. I was sitting down somewhere in Ijebu a few weeks ago, and some people came from abroad. We had some, they came from some socials, and then they then cornered me and said, "Oh yes, we've passed through your house, and we just found out that the road is not fantastic. How is it that you were governor, you were not able to dualize the roads that pass in front of your house? You are not a good governor." And I then sat them down. And I said, that exactly is the problem that we have in our country. A road should not be dualized simply because it passes in front. Where does that road lead to? What does it add to the economy of the state? That will be wrong priority.
To the generality of
the fact of the case is that, okay, the road is passable, it's been repaired, it's okay, while I was there, no problems. But the fact of the case is that the limited resources that we have, should we spend it doing that road because it passes in front of my house, or we should go and look for roads where everybody is passing and spend the money there? So the irony is that some of those things that the value system is collapsed completely. And I'm talking of highly educated people. That's the way they're thinking. And after I said that, they now said, come to think about it, we should praise you for that, not actually chastise you. And if you look at what has happened in our body politics, that really is a challenge. So somebody gets in there, he's not looking at the totality of the people. He's either just looking at his clan or his immediate family or whatever is going to be in his own overall interest. And for as long as that happens, we will not get government right.
One glaring benefit of the OGD administration to Ogun State people and Nigeria in general, which successive administrations in the state have tried to build on, was the promotion of the Nigerian fabric, in which Otunba Gbenga, his wife, and members of the administration appeared most of the time. The OGD administration has been in the vanguard of the Buy Naija to Grow the Naira campaign for a long time. Indeed, the attention of the world has been drawn to the Nigerian fabric in this way. Otunba Gbenga is indeed a man of destiny and a man of history. There is no way an objective and an accurate account of the evolution and growth of Ogun State is given that his name will not take a preeminent pride of place. Indeed, Otunba Gbenga can be described as the architect of modern Ogun State. Today, OGD is a big rallying point for Ogun State people from different political leanings, who he continues to avail his extensive and far-reaching influence and sense of judgment both in Ogun State and Nigeria. Otunba Gbenga is today a phenomenon in not only Southwest politics, but he is very relevant across Nigeria and beyond. What is OGD's next political move?
First thing first, I've always told people that there was never a time that I had a political ambition. But necessity. As a corporate person, if you're able to support, because there's no doubt about it that the kind of culture we operate, whatever you think is yours belongs to the larger spectrum of society. So, and you have not achieved anything if you are not able to impact on the people around you, which I was doing as a corporate person. But whatever you did has to do within the framework of the budgets which you have for social responsibility issues. and it's usually infinitesimal. At best, probably 5%, 10% of the income, or what you can call the profit of the organization. That is really nothing compared with an opportunity to serve
a wider majority.
Exactly, which is precisely what I think I went to do. And I do feel seriously that I've done that. And I usually tell people that all the people who have become president and vice president in Nigeria didn't campaign for it. The best you can do is to run for governor. That's the real campaign. Beyond that, in Nigeria is a factor of so many factors, and sometimes what you don't expect is tossed upon you. One thing that I know is that I have capacity, and I've seen opportunities to turn around Ogun State, which we did successfully, and such can also be expanded within the larger framework of our country. If the opportunity comes, definitely one will grab it, but one is not positioning himself or trying to go and struggle within that framework. No, the contemporary history of Nigeria has shown that it doesn't work. Otherwise, you either become the best president Nigeria never had, or the one that won election that was never allowed to rule, and so on and so forth. So this has been our history, and I think that we should understand it from that perspective.
It would be correct to say that although OGD has not been too long as an actor in the Nigerian political scene, he has learned the ropes very quickly and built bridges of friendship and strong alliances that transcend all affiliations across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. What panacea or suggestions does OGD prefer for Nigeria to get out of the political logjam that seem to envelope the political space in Nigeria today, so that the people can enjoy the gains and the hard-earned democracy that many Nigerians laid their lives in supreme sacrifice for?
Well, I think we must not give up. The challenges are daunting. Things are not still the way they're supposed to be. We started independence the same year with India. India is now moving from a third world like us. I think they've actually left second world. They're getting close to first world. They still describe us as third world people. Indian medical doctors, we now go to India for medical tourism. Whereas you go to England, also you have our own doctors, Nigerians, they're the ones you find in those hospitals, but there are no equipment there for them to practice. So we spend a lot of money. I think the president recently said we spend so much in billions annually on medical tourism. These are the sort of things that waste our resources. And I think that we just must not give up. We have great potentials. I think what is happening now is a good challenge for a number of our people, and I seriously want to encourage everybody to go out and begin to discover their potentials. It's a great country. I have not given up, and I don't think we should give up.